So your baby sleeps for a while, you get a good chunk, and then they wake hourly for the rest of the night. Sound familiar? There's a reason for that. So basically what happens in sleep is when we first go to sleep, we go into a deep sleep quite quickly. We settle down in, if you imagine this, like a deep, deep sleep, and we're in deep sleep for quite a while. We're cycling in deep sleep levels for the first few hours, for the first part of the night. Then, as the night goes on, these waves get shallower and shallower, so that we're in a lighter, we're going through lighter cycles. We're not getting down into the deep, deep sleep. We need that deep sleep. Lots of really good stuff happens in deep sleep. So what you're seeing when you have a child or a baby who is doing this is they're getting that good deep sleep, which is great. They're staying in sleep, but then once they get through to the latter part of the night, or once they hit maybe that middle mark and then, the second half of the night, their sleep waves and their cycles are staying more shallow, therefore they're kind of finding themselves awake more. And that's why you see these sort of hourly wake-ups quite often with babies. So they get that deep stretch, they have that good stretch, and then lots of wake-ups, lots of wake-ups, lots of wake-ups. So what can you do about that then? Well, have a think about these things. What do you do when you respond? What do you do when you respond to those wake-ups? Because let's say you've had a 4 or 5 hour chunk where they've slept, and then you're woken up hourly from there on. What are you going to do each time? The baby might wake every hour, but you're awake probably a lot more of the time because you might barely be settling in between those disturbances. What do you do when you respond? It's easy to think, oh, hourly feeds from midnight, and just every time they wake you're like feed, feed, feed. That's not the answer. Your baby's not going to be hungry hourly, not from, in that scenario. So what do you do when you respond? Is it a bit of a mixed bag? Is it a case of, well, I'll feed this time, or I'll rock this time, or I'll try a lullaby this time, or I'll bring them in my bed this time, probably, because when we're tired we do just clutch at straws and do anything. So have a think about what you're actually doing, and have a think about whether or not that's consistent, because the chances are it isn't. How do you make it consistent? How do you respond consistently? Well, you need a response that works. You need a response that soothes, reassures and helps your little one get back to sleep. So that's fine, but also you probably are aware and probably are conscious that there are certain times when it actually is hunger, and you don't really know when it is and when it isn't. Well, that's something you need to get really clear on, and that's my next point. You need to know when the hunger is gonna sit, and then you can map that out and go, okay, well look, I'm gonna feed at this time, I'm gonna feed at this time, or know where the feeds lie, and then respond consistently to the rest of the wake-ups. What's really important is that you don't use the feed to get your baby back to sleep. By all means, feed your baby that's hungry, absolutely, but feed them for feeding purposes. Feed them because they're hungry, not as a means to get them back to sleep. That means that they take the feed, maybe have a little winding, a little cuddle, and then before they're asleep, you put them back down and help soothe them off to sleep. And practice doing that. And it might take lots of pickups and lots of cuddles and lots of soothing and lots of help from you, but it's not the feed that's putting them to sleep. That's going to really stand you in good stead. So decide where those feeds are and absolutely feed your baby if they're hungry, but not as a means to get them back to sleep. This means that you can respond consistently. So the rest of the time, you literally do the same thing, but without the feed. So you do the pickups and the cuddles and the soothing and the reassuring and the help. You do all the same stuff, you just don't do the feed as well. This is going to create consistency. This is going to help your baby know what to expect and help them to soothe and get back to sleep with your help, but without you just doing it all for them, so they don't develop any ability there. And one other thing that you can do as well, which might help with this, is look at bedtime. So make sure you've got that nice bedtime routine, that lead up to bedtime, the calming, settling rhythm that leads to that one time of day that's different, nighttime. So you've got those steps you do in the same order every night. You cue that nighttime's coming, baby knows it's going to be bedtime, and then whatever you do, it might be that you feed them, not to sleep, that you have a little nursery rhyme or a cuddle, wind, whatever. They lie down, you do some strokes and shushes, maybe a couple of pickups, whatever it takes. But that what you do at bedtime is exactly that stuff that you repeat in the night. Sometimes with the feed, sometimes without the feed, but that the overall response and soothing and help that you're giving is consistent every time.